Okay, I'm going Tesla crazy in this video. This is a video where I'll be breaking down battery day, making it easy to understand so that everyone can actually understand how big of a deal this battery day was. Okay, so watch this video. We're gonna make sense. We're gonna talk about everything. I'm gonna squeeze it all in. I might talk very, very fast, but just cope. Okay, so we'll be talking about battery day, and at the end, I'll also be telling you guys what I think why the stock is doing what it's doing. So let's get into it. So before I get going, now remember, Tesla has done battery day planning and tests and studies and everything for the past 3, if not more years. It's been an ongoing thing. Everything that was announced at battery day, they obviously did tests, they obviously did some lab experiments, and they obviously did pilot runs of these things. They wouldn't just pull it out of the hat. Hey, like, I have an idea and let's just announce it to the rest of the world, because that is stupid and Tesla is not stupid. So just remember this. Anything you're planning on scaling up to big scale, you have to do small scale studies, and you actually have to prove small scale that it works, and then you do feasibility tests to determine if it's gonna be able to be scaled up. And once you have that, then you actually do it. Right. So for those of you that don't understand how battery works, quickly, a battery, cathode, anode, a little foil in the middle that transfers the lithium from the anode to the cathode and back. And typical batteries have a tab. So a tab is where the connection goes in, and all the electrons have to move from the one side of the tab to the other side for this battery to work. But now, the big thing that Tesla released, and why they could increase their form factor, meaning the size of their battery, was they got rid of the tab and they came up with the tabless design battery, which they patented. So if they patented the tabless design and any other company wants to do that type of design, they have to get either permission from Tesla, pay royalties to Tesla, or just not do it. You see? So Tesla has that advantage. And they show this battery on battery day. It's not just a rendering. Elon even says it's not just a rendering. Those batteries are actually being produced in the Roadrunner factory, just close to where they were announcing battery day. So it's actually being produced today. This new tabless design increases manufacturing speed by so much. It's ridiculous because you don't have to have the stop and start process. We have to stop when you get to where the tab has to be inserted, and then you have to start the processes again to carry on after the tab. Now you can just roll this thing out and make your battery one shot, like a bottle factory, and it just starts and it just goes right to the end. That's what they want to do with the batteries. They want to start at A, get to B as fast as possible without all these intermittent stops and whatnot. With this tabless design, they've really not only improved the power capacity, the form factor, the energy density of the battery itself, and the efficiency of it, but they've also increased and bettered the way you manufacture these batteries. Like they showed there that a 7 times factory improvement. So that means you would have 7 lines of manufacturing lines for the typical battery, but now you only need 1 to make that 7 equivalent amount of batteries. So let's say you had 7 lines, and we assume they only produce 1 battery per line. So then you're making 7 batteries on 7 lines, but now you have 1 line that can make 7 batteries. So if you just replace every single line with the same process, you can have 49 batteries being made instead of 7. And here comes Tesla and just drops the mic on everyone by introducing their dry battery tech. And this is specifically for your cathode. So if you have a wet process, you have a lot of materials going in, you have to mix them with chemicals, you have to mix it with water, and then this process also gives out a ton of excess wastewater. So it's a huge process. And now with the new dry battery tech, they can literally get rid of all those intermittent steps, all those infrastructure, all the mixers and the dryers and everything, and they can just reduce it. For instance, on this picture, you see that little speck of a person? That's the size compared to what they are currently using in the wet process to make these cathodes. Now you can just get rid of all of those and increase your manufacturing by so much processing capacity, but reduce your factory footprint. And it's amazing. So the dry process, and I mean, this is where Tesla acquired Maxwell, and it's crazy. They've been improving. They said they're now on revision 4 of the machine. And yes, he said it's not completely done. He did say it is working, but obviously Elon's aiming for a very high efficiency, and they will definitely get there. A lot of focus has been put into the cathode because it is quite an important part of the battery. And even with them saying, so I don't know if you guys know, but there's been a lot of conspiracy theories and accusations about where Tesla actually gets their cobalt from. Now, first of all, cobalt is your most expensive part in a battery usually, and it is a dirty process. But now they've been getting a lot of allegations and conspiracy theories that Tesla is getting their cobalt from mines that are violating human rights and stuff, and there's no proof for it. But now Tesla's response to this is, well, let's just get rid of cobalt completely. It's giving us a headache. It's creating so much issues. So what do? They're planning on releasing a series of different batteries, but all of them approach zero cobalt content. So they would have for mid-range, he said they would go for the iron phosphate approach, and then for the long range, they'll go for nickel. From the cathode, we move to the anode. Now, again, this is, it's just amazing. Tesla developed their own silicone polymer, silicone alloy, if you can call it that. The thing with silicone is, if we can put that into our batteries, we would literally solve the distance and all the issues in a battery. But silicone, the moment you start discharging and charging it, it heats up and it expands and it cracks, which is a bad thing for a battery. But now, so many studies have been trying to improve this issue with the silicone nanotubes, silicone glass, and all these things trying to mitigate the effects. But now, Tesla went and they were just like, hey man, we're just going to develop our own silicone that gets rid of all these issues. And so just on that side, their material manufacturing is crazy. Like for their material scientist division to come up with their own silicone type, it's crazy. This just shows again that Tesla isn't expecting someone else to solve their issues for them. They are actually going into it themselves and being like, listen, we've got this problem, so let's sort it out ourselves. And it's just crazy how they've improved the manufacturing process in all of this battery tech, from the tablets, from the anode to the cathode to just the whole battery form factor. So that's everything to do with what's actually inside the battery, the chemical part and like the physical part of it. But another big structural component of these batteries are they are actually making them part of the structural section of a car. They're getting rid of all these unnecessary structural components that you need to make the chassis of a car rigid. How it typically is, you would have the back section of a car and the front section, but you need something to connect those two sections so that twisting doesn't occur. And that's normally when you have all these structural elements, I-beams and whatnot running along the chassis of the body, which keeps this car structured. But now what they're doing is they are making the batteries part of the structural component. They're literally using the batteries as, you can think of a lot of little pillars at the bottom and then epoxying them all together, and then they are rigid. And Elon even said they are more rigid than a typical car's connections. Another big thing about these structural battery approaches, they're getting rid of all the inactive materials in your battery packs. So normally you would have all these modular designs that have the encasings, the pack encasing, you have these I-beams running along the car. That's all material that isn't contributing towards the car. So now by making these batteries actually the structural component, you can get rid of those things. You can move these batteries closer together, and you can also reduce the polar moment of inertia. Now, what's the polar moment of inertia? All it is by making these batteries more to the center, you think about it, it's like an ice skater. Have you seen those videos where they skate around in circles, which I'll probably buy some ice with my face if I ever had to do that. And then the moment they bring in their arms, they start spinning quicker. So And that relates to in a car to just overall a better center of gravity, which means it feels better to drive the car, it's safer to drive the car, and also there's now more distance from the edge panels to where the batteries actually start if you had to have a side collision, for that collision to actually reach those batteries, which could, in a very serious collision, create some issues when the cells get ruptured, which was an issue in the old packs. But now with these new packs, you're increasing that safety distance. Even with the form factor, you now, where in the previous Tesla pack you would have had up to 4,000 plus battery cells in a car, where now with the new form factor you can bring it almost down to 800 cells in your battery pack. So now think about it. Tesla is increasing the amount of cell productions that they can make compared to what they can currently do. Now if you make more cell units but you require less cells in a car, you can start producing more cars. And that's a clear indication that they are planning to ramp up their battery production. And then yes, one of the big things about lithium ion batteries are the concern of recycling. But now Tesla just went and be like, okay, I hear your concerns, but think about this. And they just swept all of their competition. They was just like, go sit over there, you know? Because, so Tesla's plan is they've improved their recycling process, and also the way they use their raw materials is it makes it easier for them to recycle it. Now, yes, so once you put in batteries, it takes a while before those batteries needs to be recycled because then they reach the end of life. So in future, all the new cars' batteries will be made from old batteries. Think about that. Like, a big concern in this battery tech or this EV like industry is the resource availability. But now, if you're making all these cars, so if you reach the point which in engineering we call steady state or equilibrium, if you reach that point, it means that all the batteries coming in for you to recycle are used like that for new cars. So you don't technically need to go mine for more materials because you're constantly getting them in from batteries you're going to be recycling. So it's going to reach that equilibrium point, and then obviously if they're ramping up production, they might have to mine a little bit, but not as much as previously. Just grasp that, how big of a deal that is, that you'll literally be selling people these materials at one stage, getting them back, and then selling it to them again. And then, as I said now, the big worry is resource availability. Now, Tesla acquired up to 10,000 hectares worth of lithium clay deposits close to their Nevada factory. Coincidence? I think not. You know, so and they've now also improved the way they extract the lithium from these clay deposits. So in very layman's terms, obviously Elon doesn't want to give out his entire process, but he said it's like taking, say, table salt, mixing it, getting the lithium out and putting the dirt, the ground that they don't want, back in. So it's environmentally friendly, it's easier, quicker, and he even said that that Nevada patch of lithium deposit alone can replace the entire US fleet of vehicles. And that's just the Nevada patch. That's not even considering all the other lithium patches in the rest of the world. Okay, so then I've now said all the battery stuff, the structural stuff, and then I've spoken every year and there about manufacturing. But now another big thing that they've improved about the manufacturing is the single piece casting. Now guys, I don't know if you understand how big of a deal this is. In short, so Tesla's rear body usually consisted of up to 79 pieces of metal that had to be welded, laser welded, and that had to be put together in an assembly line. Think about that. If you have 79 pieces that you have to connect, weld, and do all these things to, it takes time and space and money. Now, what Tesla has done, they've moved all those 79 pieces into one piece. So they're casting the entire section in one piece, and they're planning on doing that for the front section as well. They've only now done, he's only spoken about the rear, but he's said that they're planning on doing the front and the rear, and then using that battery structural component to link the two to prevent that twisting effect I told you guys. The big headache about casting is when you cast liquid hot metal, it sets the moment it comes up off the fire, off of the furnace. So it starts setting immediately. So quickly, if you have metal flowing, you want the metal not to have differential cooling. So you don't want the middle a lot cooler than the outside. And that's what happens the moment you start filling this part, and it starts cooling faster in the middle than the outside, or vice versa. it creates cracks, it creates deformities, and it will create weak points in your structure. And they've eliminated this. And also a big thing is, if you're casting such a big piece, is you don't want that metal to cool halfway down and block like a prop. And it'll just, like, you would think the cast is done, and when you pull it apart, it's like full of voids and empties. And they've managed to get this right. It's honestly, for me as an engineer, this is such a big thing for them to have managed to get that right. I mean, they even said that it's so difficult that they had to go develop their own alloy. Their own aluminium alloy they had to go and develop to be able to achieve this casting type. And it's crazy. Not only did they develop a new type of manufacturing that is mind-boggling effective, but they developed their own alloy. Tesla had to go make their own material to do their things. It's crazy. The fact that they're doing these single piece castings no one else has done it before, and it's not like you can just get these machines at a local hardware shop or like a local engineering like building and just be like, hey man, can I please order a single piece casting machine? No! They had to go and design it, develop it, and actually prove that it works. So Tesla this is all on that first principles things that Elon always says. If you don't know what he says when he means first principles, it means going back to basics, starting at what you have when it comes out the ground or whatever, and where you want to end at. Tesla wants to be the best manufacturing company in the world. If I was an internal combustion engine company, I would be bad wording my pants. So if you take all these pieces together and you look at what the effect is, it's a 56% reduction in cost per kilowatt hour of the battery tech. It's a 54% increase in the range of their battery capacities, and a 69% less investment cost. So this is now for all the factories, the manufacturing costs, and all those things. If you think about it, a lithium ion battery at most, at the current stage, would be $140 per kilowatt hour. Now, this is a very conservative, expensive amount. Now, take the 56% of that, and you get down below that $100 kilowatt hour that a lot of scientists says is the point at which EV is better than an ICE vehicle. Like, these numbers are crazy. I mean, imagine not only halving the costs of your processes, but also doubling, tripling, or 7xing your efficiency and production rates, but halving your costs. It's crazy. On top of that, Elon promised a $25,000 electric vehicle in the next 3 years. Guys, that is crazy, because it's already cheaper to own an electric vehicle over the long term. If you factor in all the money you save on just insurance premiums, like electricity, like workbacks, return on investments, it's just, you save so much money. Now think about how much you're going to save if you buy the $25,000 vehicle. It is crazy. With all these advancements, Tesla was 3 to 4 years ahead of everyone. But now, if they can implement these advancements, like Elon said, 1 year to 18 months, if they can do that, me personally, I think they'll just leave all their competition in the dust, because they've patented their manufacturing designs. So that means other companies can't just go take it and catch up. They either have to completely change and come up with something better, or they have to pay Tesla to use that. You know, so it's just, the day Tesla starts selling those $25,000 cars, which I probably think will be the Robotaxis, that's when they'll achieve that 20 million car productions a year, and they'll just kill any competition they ever had. One more thing before I get to what's been going on with the stock. So I saw someone commenting about Tesla making all these promises about their battery manufacturing and stuff. And they were saying, yo, Tesla's probably not even producing these batteries, it's all a lie. But the Roadrunner pilot system is the factory where they've been producing these batteries. And the Roadrunner factory on its own at the moment, and even when they achieve the 10 gigawatt hours, which they've been promising, will be the 13th biggest battery production facility in the world. Like, it's crazy. Because at the moment, the biggest one is the Panasonic one at Tesla Nevada. Think about it, if Tesla reaches their 3 terawatt hour promised production capacity, compared to what the biggest is at the moment, it's just crazy. Okay, so now that we know what exactly happened at Battery Day, you would expect that the stock price would be doing this, right? So this would be common sense. But then the day after, this happened. And I'm just like, like, why? So I did a bit of thinking and I looked at all the stuff that happened, and then I figured the big thing what happened with Battery Day was people were expecting things like a physical product to be sold, like to be able to be like, okay guys, this new Model Y has this amazing battery tech and I'll go buy it right now on the website. But that's very short-term investor mentality. And if you're like me, I'm in this for the long game. I'm in this for 10-year long-term investing. So everyone was listening out for this million-mile battery term. Now, the big thing is Elon didn't announce it, but if you look at the advancements and the material improvements and stuff, they've definitely achieved that capability. Elon Musk didn't want to say anything about the million-mile battery term because the big thing and the big reason why is this thing called the Osborne effect. Now, what is the Osborne effect? It was named after a company which was a victim to this. Imagine now you're a computer company. You're currently selling computers, but you have an amazing computer that's being released in 2 years' time, and you announce it to the world. Now, what's going to happen is computers, like lifetime, is 5+ years. So a lot of people will wait from buying computers in the next 2 years because they'll rather wait for the new computer to come out and buy that in 2 years' time. So that means your company sales are dropping down to the bottom. You will have a serious cash flow problem, and that is the reason why the Osborne company went bankrupt. And that is the big thing about the Osborne effect. So now think about it. Now Elon announces the million-mile battery term, and what do people do is, and he tells them it'll be put in 2 years' time into the new Model 3s. Everyone will stop buying Model 3s. And they'll just wait for the 2-year time to get the Model 3 with a million-mile battery, which means Tesla, as it is already, does not have the biggest cash flow. They will start getting issues. So it's a very clever move on Elon's side. So I personally think that the stock dropped obviously because of your short sellers and your institutional investors who have to show a great return on their portfolios, because they'll probably get fired if they don't. So a lot of these institutional investors and short sellers started taking profit and they pulled out because they don't want to wait for this 3+ year plan. They want to see their crazy results right now. And that's why all these big drops went. But then you get institutional investors like ARK Investing who increased their stake in Tesla. The big thing about Tesla that I want you guys to understand is it's a long-term investment, and it's a good long-term investment. You want to invest in this company because of what they're going to be doing over the next 10 years. And yes, Elon has in the past made dates that he hasn't met when he says when he will do it, but he still has done it at some point. And it's just crazy. And I think, me personally, for the first time in a long time, I think Elon is actually holding back, and it's probably because of this Osborne effect, because he isn't selling his dates. He's actually, I think personally, he's for the first time underplaying when they're actually going to be achieving all these achievements and all these manufacturing advancements. Okay guys, so that is pretty much Battery Day on my take on why the stock price didn't skyrocket. But again, Tesla is not a short-term company, it's a long-term company. Consider the fact that how many other companies out there do you think actually have a 10-year plan ahead? Most companies only plan for the next quarter or the next year. No other company really plans this far ahead, and this is what sets Tesla so far ahead of its competitors, is they are thinking about the future and they are wanting to change the future, where other companies just want to make a quick buck here and now and don't actually think about what the future can do for them. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'd really love to hear your guys' take on Battery Day and what you think about it. So drop a comment and let's discuss it.